Well, being that it's 4 o'clock, we will go ahead and call the February 27th, the February 24th meeting to order for the Historic Preservation Commission for the City of Lynchburg. Feel free, if you're attending the meeting, there should be copies of the agenda on the door in the little box. We welcome you to please take note of the mission statement, if you will, that's located at the bottom of that agenda. We'll go ahead and begin the meeting with regarding the consent agenda for previous month. Do I hear a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Great, that passes. We can look at immediately moving into new business, and the first item that we have, and as we call your name, if you please come forward to the table up front here to state your name and your address for the record, and you can immediately go ahead and express the nature of your COA. So we'll start with 1318 Church Street.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nancy Marion, and I live at 117 Madison Street.
Excellent. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I own the building at 1318 Church Street and the parking lot beside it. I want to add on, I just want to enlarge a bathroom that's in the basement, but so it adds about 10 feet square to the back side of the building that you can't see from anywhere but maybe Main Street. And put a screened-in porch above that addition, and that would be adjacent to the back deck. And then I want to add a pedestrian bridge from the deck to the parking lot at 1322 using, as it says, brick pillars and a wooden bridge. The brick pillars would probably be arched, so it would look kind of like a colonnade. And that would be a handicap accessible entrance, because the plan is to live in the basement, and I mean, our living area would mostly be in the basement of the building. So that's about it.
Great. Anyone have
And
questions,
then the parking
comments?
lot, I'm sorry, the parking
Oh,
lot,
yes.
I would improve the parking lot with pea gravel and Belgian block accents.
At the entry point?
Well, there's already, I think there's a concrete entrance to it already, but the Belgian block would be at the entry.
Okay.
Sort of to keep the pea gravel up on the hill.
Mm-hmm. Well, if anyone would like to make a motion on this, so we can open for discussion.
I have a question. So if
Yeah.
you look at this picture here, it looks like there's a wrought iron gate, a fence going around the parking lot. I assume you'll have to take a section of that out for your bridge?
Just a
Okay.
little section. And I probably will wrap it around. Maybe the section I take out will go down toward the front porch, because I want to put a gate between the sidewalk and my yard, so for one thing to keep people out and for another to keep my dog in, so.
We have one that's basically looking from Church Street down where Ms. Marion was just talking about, down the side. No, yeah, right in front of the house, looking directly at the front.
Right there?
Yeah. Any way we can slip to the right a little?
Oh,
That's it.
Not, if not, that's okay.
Yeah, there's sort of a little alleyway between the
Yeah.
house and.
Yeah, like, well, we're, Chris and I met out at the site last week.
Here's a good picture of that.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah, if you could share that with him. So that there will be a new fence that matches the original across that alley, which will further screen this bridge.
Yeah.
The bridge is to the rear, really out of sight behind both the existing fence and the new fence. And everything else that's being proposed is behind the house as well.
Right. Yeah, I've been by there. I think you really have
Yeah,
to
so
look
this
hard
will come
and know
across
what
right
you
here
were
at the corner.
trying to identify to see it.
Yeah. So it really seems to be, all the new construction is completely out of sight.
Except for the bridge.
Yeah, and it's behind the fence as well and in that plane, so it won't be highly visible as well, behind the brick wall that's there, as well as the fence. Yeah, we walked it last week.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, is it a little, the grade, if I see the edge of your deck down to the parking lot, I guess it'll have a little slope down?
No, it's about 1 inch difference.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, when I took a water level to it, it was real close.
All right. Thank you.
But I think that's what you were saying, you'll have to notch the wall, the brick wall a little bit to go from the parking lot straight across,
Yeah.
which will
yeah,
further drop it down behind that wall.
Yeah.
Chris, from what we saw on site, everything seems to be in line with the guidelines, and I'd move to approve as submitted.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion, questions, comments, concerns? No, hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Nancy,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Very thorough, and you're ready to go. Best of luck. Okay, next up, we have 1924 Rivermont Avenue.
We are Tom and Virginia Nelson at 1924 Rivermont Avenue. It's on the corner of Huron and Rivermont. And we are requesting a replacement of our terracotta tile roof with a faux metal. This is what the house looked. If you back up one, that's the trolley tracks that were originally in front of the house. Our house was built by R.D. Apperson. He owned the trolley car company and the gas company. And the trolley cars came right past the house.
Used to go home.
This is the original house. It was shingled, not stucco as it is now, and it had shingles, cedar shakes on the roof. You can see, if you look at the point, the room to the front that has a hump, that one there. And when you see it later, it won't look like that. It's flat. When they put the tiles in about 1950, they changed the shape of the roofs in several places, but that one's the most noticeable. This is the eagle view of our house. That's it.
It's a lot of roof.
It's hard to say, yeah. That's what,
So they changed the roof on the turret from like a bell shape to a cone shape? Huh.
I think they had
It's
to do that
flat.
for the
For the tiles?
terracotta.
I think the tile made the difference. And it changed several aspects of, in the back, there's a section that's flat, which wasn't originally flat. But the tiles required a different,
Sure.
I don't know, is it the, okay. I don't know if you could read that. Basically, we bought the house in 1985 and have been picking up terracotta tiles in the yard since 1985. We had it patched and patched and patched and patched. And it just needs a new roof. Actually, it's 35 years now. This is some of the damage that we have. You can see on the picture on the top, the water damage and the ceiling damage. The, you can't even see that one, except you can see streaks on the other two. This is the ceiling on the second floor, and damaged by the fireplace. This is that was the bathroom off of that. This is the flat, the section they made flat. And it's on the back side of the house. It's actually a closet now, but when we bought the house, it was a kitchen. This is the attic that leaks down into that. This is an archway on the third floor. It's, you can see, it's just completely gone. This is we have hired Senvar Roofing to replace the tiles with a faux tile. Basically the same color green, a little different shade.
Right.
Okay, this just goes into the, how the roof would be.
Sure.
They're just from that's the, in addition to the faux, we also, all of the under base, the plywood is rotted. So that all has to be replaced and is not part of the $104,000.
Really?
Look at all that roof.
Well, you can't see it in one of them. It said, the Eagle View says, it says what is the difficulty of the roof? And the answer is very complex. Because it's not flat, it just goes, it has valleys and.
Valleys and ridges all over the place.
It's, why anybody would build a roof like that, I don't know. But, because and as I said, we've had it patched and patched and patched. And literally, the day we signed for the house, we went back and we were walking around, and there was a big hunk of tile laying in the grass. So, that's basically our reasoning. Do you have any questions?
I'd like to see the tile up close.
Oh, sure.
Does this have a lifetime guarantee?
You know, I never asked that. I figured it would be my lifetime, yes.
I'm curious, 'cause I have a terracotta roof also. Was this suggested? Did they not want to put the tile back, or what took you down this route?
What took us down the road is there's very few people that work on terracotta tile that are really, you get a lot of people who say, oh yeah, I do it, but they don't own a business and have things, they have no, with Senvar, we figured we had a company that wanted to keep their reputation. We've had some real Lulus working on the roof over the years who did not know anything about tile. This was a more permanent solution. The tiles are not easy to come by now. And the fact that they've been falling off, they're held on by one nail. That's it. When the nail rusts, they slide off, and one hits the other as it goes down. And the repairs that we had done were because under the porch we have a slightly different style tile, and some of them were able to cut it and use that instead. But this tile is really hard, and it didn't seem like a permanent solution to us. Because it's still gonna happen, the tiles are gonna keep falling off.
Did you price a terracotta roof? I'm sorry, I missed
Pardon?
that. Did you price for a terracotta comparison to the metal and the?
Yes, and actually it would end up being about the same price. So we decided to go with what seemed like a more permanent solution.
Well, it says it's also solar efficient, so that's, I think,
Yes.
one plus that would be, that you would not get in a real terracotta roof.
Right. Believe me, you do not get any insulation from a terracotta roof. Yes, this is you save 70% with this tile. So the heating bill, which is phenomenal and changes constantly, it's been as high as $850 a month at one point. And, it kind of goes up and down. So this would be nice if we had something that really could help with the heat and the cold and.
Can we go back to the photos of where she's looking to, are you looking to replace the whole roof?
Mhm.
The whole thing?
Wholesale, yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, it's over 7,000 square feet.
yep.
Thank you, Victoria.
It's kind of hard to see.
Anyone have any questions or like to make a motion?
I move that the petition be approved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any questions, comments, concerns? Commissioner Lipsey?
I think I had pulled to the guidelines, and there's nothing that says no on,
It's kind of quirky because it's not original.
Yeah,
And,
but it's not a slate, so yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like an appropriate material.
Okay. Well, we have a motion and a second. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? None opposed.
Thank
You
you
are-
very much.
Welcome to get started on that. Best of luck. Senvar's a great company. I think you'll do
Pardon?
well by them. Senvar's a great company. They did
And
my
that's why
roof.
we went with them, because
Yeah.
a lot of the other kinds of people who have patched our roof, they have nothing to lose if they don't do it.
Right.
So thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Next, we would like to call up 844 Rivermont Avenue. If there's anyone here representing 844 Rivermont Avenue, maybe not. Regarding a propane tank, no? No? Well, we can come back to that. We'll call for it again towards the end. Next up would be 215, 217 Madison Street. Hello there.
How you doing?
Very good, thank you.
My name is Jake Burnop. I'm with Burnop Metal, and I'm here to represent Tom Larkin. As you know, he's in the nursing home.
Okay.
And so we are his contractor, but we are not the contractor that painted that fence red and built that crazy roof over that carriage house. So he wants us to fix it. And so basically what we're proposing to do is, of course, repaint the fence and build the carriage house back like as much as we know it was original. Basically, we're looking at making it look like the one right across the street from it, put the hip roof back on it. We're gonna build walls up so you have headroom inside of it. And we'll put a rolling door on it. The one across the street has, it has two hinge doors, but due to the slope of the road, and the slope of the sidewalk, it really wouldn't work out.
Right.
To put a hinge door, that's what's there. So that's the drawings. We just kind of sketched something up quick, And what we're looking at doing is using just the lap board siding, the same way they did, the bead board on the doors. And instead of doing a hinge door, we're just gonna do a rolling door in the middle, make it about 10 foot wide. And, you know, then it'll roll to one side, and then when it rolls back, the angle of the ground will close the door off.
So will the front of that door still look similar to this?
Similar to that,
Mhm.
yes.
So it
We
was-
can use-
Yeah,
We can make it look just like that,
but it would
actually.
still look like a double door, but it would just be one unit that's moving.
We could make it look like a double door, yes.
Well, yeah.
That's no problem.
Yeah, to make it look like it was, because originally it was probably two doors instead of one door.
Probably was. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Would you have enough room to do that with two, I mean,
The problem with the two doors is the slope of the sidewalk. So if you go and open up that angled door, you know, it don't match,
Mhm.
so it digs in the ground, and the opposite happens on the
Understand.
other side. So, you know, the rolling door we think would be better.
but would you, well, my question is, I understand that, but would you have enough room? Do you have a picture or a drawing of the space that you're gonna be sliding that door over into? Is there an alleyway, or where are you putting that?
Um, The,
Sidewalk.
it's almost, I think 18 foot wide now. So if we use a 10-foot door, it will just roll back just
Okay.
barely beyond the corner of the building when it's fully open.
Mhm.
And then when you shut it, it'll just close off, and, you know, it'll look like a,
And would you be able to put, I think what Commissioner Hester's referring to, if you have that beadboard paneling and then put some verticals, two verticals maybe against one another in the middle, would almost give the impression of that double.
exactly, it
Yeah.
looked like
Double
two
door.
doors. And that
Mhm.
wouldn't be no problem at
Mhm.
all. You know, we could run the beadboard siding all the way across the front and bring the beadboard door to meet it.
Right.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
I don't see that being any problem.
I think on that written description, it says
Yes, colors
the
reversed.
colors are reversed.
Yeah. It
Yes,
says the paint from white
'Cause
to red.
It's going from red to white, correct?
right.
I think the
Okay.
application was to cover the fact that it had been done without a COA, so this was to
Ah,
cover the COA.
okay.
Yeah.
And if he wants to amend this to make it white again, we can certainly do that.
Okay.
Yeah, he hired some guy that's a truck driver, I think, to build this thing and paint that fence, and never mentioned it to me, so,
Uh-huh.
but now he wants me to fix it. But, so that's basically what we're looking at doing.
So for clarification, from what you've said, number one here should read from red to white. You want to make it white.
Yes, not
White
from
to
white to
white.
red, it's from red to white, that is reversed. Yeah, it's red now, so we're gonna paint it white.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we're gonna just, you know, put a standing seam metal roof on, just like we did the house.
Mhm.
We did re-roof the house. I understand he got that approved through y'all before we did that, but
Mhm.
it was a few years back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was years ago. We priced this job about 4 years ago just to re-roof the house, and he needed it at the time. And he was about ready to do it, and he had hired a man that didn't have any license or nothing to come over and, with a lift, clean the other carriage house off, the roof off of it. So this man went over there with a lift, no safety harness, stepped out of the lift, put his foot on the roof and fell, landed on the ground, dialed 911 and died before the ambulance could get to him.
Oh, my goodness.
So at that point, everything was put on hold. And meanwhile, the roof was leaking like a sieve. And 4 years later, now he's got a lot of plaster repair that's also going on inside. And, but we got the roof on it, and that roof lasts 200 years at this point. You know, we did a real good job with that. And, so we're gonna match the roof on this little carriage house here. And, I needed to ask you about the trees. It's got like 3 trees that's actually starting to grow into it. We were gonna take those out. Y'all don't have any problem with that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you can do with
Whatever
it's
color
historic
down. Yeah, as far as I know, they're not. But, But yeah, we're just gonna cut them down and get them out of the way.
Thomas Jefferson class.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you involved in the non-fence, non-carriage house work that's going on outside?
They have an administrative COA to fix the wood in kind,
Oh,
the
they
rotting
do?
wood.
Okay,
Oh, yes, yes.
okay,
Yeah, we're just replacing rotten wood. Yeah,
gotcha, thanks.
Okay.
that's really odd. And we're doing that to the main house as well.
Right,
We're
right.
replacing tons of rot.
Anyone would like to make a motion on the COA as it is?
I'd like to move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Anyone like to, I guess, do we need to make a specific,
Noting that item 1 is.
About the door?
Red to white.
Red to
As
white.
opposed
Correct.
to white to red, and that the door would simulate a double.
Double door.
And then it would look like the
Exactly.
Yeah.
garage across the street.
Right, in its image, yeah.
Okay.
What-
That's easy enough.
What color are you, maybe you told us, what color are you painting
We
this?
were gonna do the doors in white, and, I don't know what color to do the siding. I was just gonna do it to match the one next door, like an off-white or something, I think is what it is.
It's like
right
a
across the
yellow, a
street,
pale
yeah.
yellow kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we can paint it any color you want.
And that could be administrative with you, Victoria.
With the commissioner's approval.
So this, I'll give you a little bit more history on this. That, as you saw, there's 2 addresses. The carriage house that's being built sits on what is an empty lot. The house that did sit there burned down in '49, and the lot sat empty since. So there's not a point of reference to say what should this look like. The house that is standing that Mr. Larkin owns, well, it's very large. I don't think the one that burned down was in any way like his.
It has its own carriage house.
Right,
This
right,
carriage
which
house
is very
actually
large,
went to
right,
another property.
right, the one that, the empty lots.
Yeah.
Is that carriage house still on the property that you said it has its own carriage house?
Well, it's 2 different addresses, it's 2 different properties, and he owns it all.
215 does have a large
carriage
carriage house in
And
back.
what color is
Yes.
that?
It's white
White?
with the
Is
green
it
roof.
white?
I would
It's in, I
probably
think it's in one of
to
these
paint it the
pictures.
same
You can
That's
see
what
it.
we should do, probably, is just match it.
Right.
Yeah, I think matching the
Yeah.
existing would make sense.
Right.
to tie the properties
And
together?
any of the details, as well, if you, you know.
Right,
Not that
as
you
much as
have to, but
possible. It
Sometimes
is 2
historically,
separate-
At least
sometimes,
sympathetic.
yeah, sometimes historically,
Yeah.
they like for you to have some kind of, type of difference to show that it really was not the original, but they like,
Right.
they like to, keep in keeping
This
with
is
the
carriage
architectural,
house.
the
We
original
actually,
design.
we went to the library and tried to look
Number
up
this
pictures of
is.
that thing originally and just couldn't find anything on it.
There's a picture in there of the other carriage house.
Yeah,
I don't know what slide number this is.
the other carriage house is, it's really, it looks like that's part of the house, and this is really on a different lot. But
Right. it
that's
is.
why we figured it would be better to match
That's
one
it in the
across the street.
background.
There in the background.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And it has a
it's-
slate roof where the house, well, the house that the carriage house belongs to has a metal roof.
Yeah, and that carriage house there is a lot bigger, but it's still got the lapboard siding, and I guess it's yellow on the bottom, looks like green on top.
Mhm.
I think it's white.
Yeah.
All right, well, we had a motion and a second. Is yours,
Yes.
your second carries with
Yes.
his
Yes.
quick amendment or change
Yes.
there? Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Here, what is that superimposed in there? A legal notice stop work?
That's the stop recorder, that
Oh.
was.
Yeah.
It's in the picture.
Yeah.
Backwards, okay.
was on
Hearing no
orange.
other questions or comments, for a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, it looks like you're good to go.
Awesome,
Thank you so much.
thank you. I do have one unrelated question.
Uh-huh.
If somebody came in here and y'all did not give them approval, but they went ahead and did it anyway, what's the repercussions of that?
They would be given, not the first step is a stop work order. After that, if they don't fall into compliance, they get a notice of violation. And if they fail to fall into compliance a month after that, then we take them to court.
I see. And, so I guess there'd be fines to pay and
Yes.
you make them, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have 412 Harrison Street.
Hello, how are you?
Hello there.
I am William Duggar with Reliable Pros, who's the contractor for Community Housing Partners, CHP. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with them, but I am not CHP. I am one of their larger contractors that helps them with a lot of their work.
All right.
And so what we have here was, the porch was in really bad shape. I think they were gonna do some inspection. I don't know if it was VHDA, whoever. It was a few situations that were really bad, missing steps, missing posts. We fixed about 7 porches in like a 2-week frame. This was one that I had no idea was in a historic area. Not familiar with work here in Lynchburg. I do a lot of their work, Fredericksburg, Northern Virginia, and kind of in the Carolinas. There was some attention needed here in this area. We fixed the porch, and I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Lynchburg.
Thank you. But I mean, I have a lot more that I'm looking to do, so this is probably where I needed to be.
Sure.
Just for a porch before it was a bigger issue. So, and I'm not quite sure what would need to be changed. I think the porch looks pretty good. Compared to what it used to look like. How long ago was that picture? That one?
This is from the assessor's office,
Okay,
so I'm not too sure. Probably
Okay.
early
because that porch looks
Early, middle
amazing
2000s.
compared to what it actually looked like before it was fixed. And so I'm not sure.
This is where you want to be
Yeah.
in terms of visual.
Okay,
The salt-treated one that's there is what you'd find more in a suburban,
okay,
with the square and the cutoff angles, and,
Okay.
that's not what you would find in a historic district. So,
Okay.
handcrafted top that has a profile to it, a bottom rail that is similar, and I can't tell from that picture, Victoria, I don't know if that's,
Little details on the columns.
yeah, if the spindles are, I can't really tell if the spindles are round or, looks,
I think those are.
they look simple and square.
Yeah, they were square.
Um,
I think the spacing might be a
Yeah, a little
bit
tighter.
different. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're just mounted right to the.
yeah, and they sit right on top of that bottom rail. Usually that bottom rail has a slot
Right,
that they
right.
fit into.
Mhm.
That's a stock item that you can typically purchase at the right hardware, lumber yard.
Okay.
And that top rail is a stock item that you can buy as well. It's a
The
little
cap.
craft, it has a little detail. Yeah,
Okay.
the cap. And then the spindles, they come everything from really simple square, which is what those look like, to
Mhm.
highly decorative round. But that's where you would want to be, and as well as painted as opposed to unpainted.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be painting the entire house
Okay.
during the summer, so I'm pretty sure I'll have to get with you guys on color.
Yeah, white. No,
You
sorry.
could go straight white on that, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Without any issues. But,
Yeah, white would be simple, and what it looked like originally.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that house was recognized by
I was
the
gonna say, it has a-
Historical
it has a-
Foundation as a merit award winner, so it definitely has some.
The housing
fine history
authority
associated
used
with
it as a poster child with
Right.
before and after.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, yeah, it was awful before.
Okay. So, what would you guys recommend, replacing the spindles?
Yeah, I think I guess the risers and steps themselves are probably okay if painted. You know,
Okay.
and again, like you see them there, sometimes the treads would be one color and the riser are different. But,
Okay.
you know, here it's kind of playing off of that all one color item. And then the post, the handrail, all components of the railing itself replaced back to look like what that former picture.
Okay.
I don't know if, Victoria, you could provide them with a copy of that original picture, just so that they'd have a little something to go on.
The bottom post, how are those, are they set? Are they sunk in concrete?
Yes.
Yeah, they are. They're not as big as the original ones, are they? They're smaller.
Yeah.
That may be a little bit of that'll be the toughest part about it is.
Yeah, if there's a good
Getting
stringer
something more
coming down that you
substantial.
could anchor in from the side into the
That's
stringer,
true. Yeah.
might give it enough oomph. But yeah, basically going back to that original image is where you want to go.
Use that
Okay.
image as your guide and you would be,
Including if you're doing lattice work underneath, the horizontal vertical lattice as opposed to the little 45-degree
right.
cheapo stuff that you can buy at the hardware store
Right.
well, it looks like, I
It's
don't know if
there.
that's original, it's still
Yeah.
there, that's great if it is.
Yes,
But a lot of times the scale of that is far different from the off-the-shelf stuff that you can buy these days. And I mean, it's just a radical difference in terms of visual
Right.
end product. So if that's original, careful to keep it. That's a good thing to have.
Okay.
Victoria, swap out the other picture one more time real quick. That's another thing, the angle of the handrails coming down, if you notice on this picture, they meet up basically with the horizontal rails. And go back to the new picture, and you can see the
Uh-huh.
difference there as well.
Okay.
That's something else to consider, just to keep that
So means
scale
he may have
intact.
to change his stairs.
Mhm.
Is that-
You know, if they were rebuilt with the different rise and run, or
Yeah.
Were the stringers
Because see, it
completely
doesn't have
replaced, or
that, he
do you
doesn't
know?
have that.
I'm sorry?
Were the stringers, were they replaced?
I don't.
Is it, I mean, it
Think
doesn't,
so?
it looked like it has the same,
Yeah,
is there
I-
same number set? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
I don't think the stringer was replaced. I think
Six
they
steps.
used the existing.
Swap the other picture again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 steps here. There's 6 in the other one.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying, once you change that rail system, you're gonna have to change the stairs
Mhm.
to bring it up to the.
Yeah.
And then, you see
I
that
believe, is
wide
that right?
board on the side profile where
Or
the,
no.
where the lattice is?
the eve
It
board.
may be the
The-
same.
Thank you.
Well, I guess not an eve
I'm not
board,
sure,
but
yeah.
a stringer cover.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
Uh-huh.
would need to be there.
That
Okay.
diagonal piece coming down, yeah, yeah. But yes, if you can look at that old picture and try and replicate it as best as possible, you'll be in fine shape.
Okay. And so, quick question while I have
Yes,
you guys. So like for a house like this, they have a few houses that are, I guess, in different historical districts. We've been over a few of them. Siding, I know the colors are pretty set, but like the columns, I mean, I have to find those. And they're not easy to find. I had to run into a 3. It wasn't a historic, but I wanted them to match. But yeah, so some of those are really not easy to find.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not sure if you guys have a lot of meetings about those columns, but what's your you know?
A couple of salvage yards around, Caravati's in Richmond and
Okay.
Black Dog in Roanoke.
Okay.
But there are some companies that make new ones that are generally, from an image standpoint and scale and size, will
Acceptable?
match. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you can find new construction, new formed columns that will match original sizes typically.
And material has to be the same too.
Wood, I mean,
Preferably.
we have at times done composites.
Yeah.
Occasionally, yeah. there's
Occasionally
some I know.
composites that, you know, don't rot as long.
No PVC.
Nah, no PVC, yeah.
But I mean,
I'm just,
that-
just asking, I'm very,
Yeah, yeah.
very, I mean, I've dealt with historic districts, but not Lynchburg
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, they're out there. It does take some research. There are, I mean, we've dealt with them from this size up to 28 inches across. I mean,
okay.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, there is
Two
a
stories.
local company, Taylor Brothers.
That's where I've been
Yeah.
purchasing them from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
They-
For a
they
few
ca-
other
They carry
houses,
some
yeah.
stuff like that as well.
But some of them, he's just like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so-
there's some national companies that have a big inventory of wood,
Okay.
similar wood columns.
And so then again, like the siding, you know, if they were to replace all of it on this house, like is, like what, is it like for like?
In,
So
in terms of dimensional, yes.
Material.
Wood, and we have done composite,
so like hardy, like.
Hardy plank.
Hardy plank,
Yeah,
okay.
hardboard.
or an AZEC. Gotta be careful on.
now, obviously, there are things in the guidelines that allow us to go that route. However, obviously, repair before replace.
If at all
So,
possible.
yeah, so if you don't have to take them
If
all
it
down.
doesn't have, if it's not completely beyond repair, we strongly urge repair what can be repaired.
Okay, so that's probably why it looks like it looks then.
Yeah.
All right. I was just wondering, because I was like, it's, you know, it's not a whole lot more that can be done.
Right.
But I mean, you can kind of see a lot of the repairs.
Sure.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Right. So do we have a motion for what has been stated here?
I guess the motion would be to replace the pressure-treated materials that are there to replicate the original photo from city files in terms of materiality and dimension. Does that make sense?
Second.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? From the commissioners or the applicant? Any other questions you might have for us?
Not this property, but I guess I'll need to, now I know that we need to have this meeting before something gets
Yes,
done.
absolutely.
This put out a fire, we passed inspection, so we can, you know,
Yeah.
rectify it with you guys.
Sure. And a lot of times you'll be able to, you know, particularly if you're just replacing siding, you know, that can be done administratively through Victoria. You don't even have to come
You
here.
wouldn't have to wait
Yeah,
for
if-
the meeting.
but if I would've did it the right way in the beginning, we would probably not have to be here, so
Yeah.
now I know that it's, you know, it's, hey,
Exactly.
talk to me, let's see if we, yeah, but, nice meeting you all.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good seeing you.
Well, all those in
Hopefully-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, you're ready to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, we appreciate
You
you
have a
coming
good
in.
evening.
It sounds like you already know this, but CHP, several of their homes are in historic districts. I'm familiar with several of them and know at least where they are. Just giving you a heads up.
Yeah, and they need some TLC, so.
Right.
We'll probably be back to talk about those, as well.
I don't know if you have a copy of the bylaws. They're available online, just as a point of reference.
Did you? I think you might have sent it to me already.
Yeah.
Just trying to help you out, being out of town and new to Lynchburg and how we're
Yeah.
running it.
I
and what have you.
appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to probably do some investing myself here, but
Great. It's a
like,
good place to do that.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of red tape. though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a lot, but I mean, I like, you know, preservation.
All in one room.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
across the hall.
Thank you, Mr. Nutter.
Thank you.
And pictures too? Perfect, thank you so much.
Just jumping back real quick, if we don't have anybody for 8:44, I guess we need to someone needs to make a motion to table that discussion until the next.
Is that something, you know, we have approved with nobody here before. Is it so simple?
It's up to the discretion of the commission. If you feel like there's not enough information, you are certainly able to table it. If you feel comfortable reviewing it now, you may do so.
Can we at least pull it up and look at it?
Yes.
It's just a propane.
Yeah.
And it's looking to put it right about here and says it's going to be screened with shrubs.
Screens with, I'm sorry?
Screened with shrubs.
Screens with shrubs.
Say that again, screen.
Screened with shrubs.
Oh, thank you.
Per the guidelines. I don't know. I never really see these things away from houses. They're always nested right up against the side of a house. I don't know why it has to be 10 feet away.
I think this one's kind of up on a berm too, isn't it? Isn't it like next to where that guy's building the shed we keep talking about?
Where is this? 844.
It's in that vicinity.
Yeah, but no.
Do you know if this is up on a berm or if it's?
Oh, yes, elevation
is.
Yeah, you
wise,
see
it
the
says it
steps
is.
in front of him,
Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean,
It says
it's.
that Rivermont is
it's-
8 feet below the property.
It's 8 feet up, but I just, it baffles me as to why it's away from the side of the house. I'm not sure. I haven't
I
seen
think
that.
some people do that just because they're cautious, you
Huh.
know, if there's a
Yeah.
explosion or, you know, you can at least.
10 feet's not gonna make a
No,
difference.
For a 250-pound tank?
Nope, that pressure vessel.
You know, maybe for delivery.
Yeah.
Well, given the appropriate screening, you know, that it's 42 inches tall, making sure that the screening is not very short,
Yeah.
that the screening is of scale to the propane tank, it would, I mean, it falls into the guideline regulations.
Right.
So if we make that, I'd make a motion to approve, noting that the screening landscaping is at least as tall as the tank itself.
Was it's beyond the rear elevation of the house? I mean, I know it's off on the side, but is it beyond? So, okay, so it is beyond the rear elevation, okay.
Away from Rivermont.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
There's no way to add verbiage that somehow would require this shrubbery to remain, is there? Because you got shrubs there today, but
thinking you'd take
next
them
year
out.
he takes them down or they die or whatever.
That there remains some kind of screen, I think
Yeah,
that's a very
because
good
that's
point.
Yeah,
ugly.
that's a
Yeah.
great point.
Or at least state that there remains some type of screen.
As far as I'm aware of.
I don't know how you do that.
If they do remove the screening, then that could be cited as a zoning violation since it is no longer screened in a historic district. So at least there's that regulation in place.
Maybe some sort of verbiage that the screening type used, whether it be, like, I guess he's looking at some sort of greenery, that it needs to serve its purpose year-round?
Yeah, year round.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're gonna see it right
Right.
from Rivermont.
Exactly.
So on that point, so is the screening going to kind of come around that propane tank? So you're saying that you can see it from Rivermont, right? But he's also screening from his neighbor? Is that your
Well-
point, Sean?
Yeah, I
Tank,
think,
it's 180-degree screening
Yes.
Yeah.
towards Rivermont.
Yeah. Thank you.
and I do think it should be evergreen because otherwise,
Right.
who wants to live next to the propane tank?
It's gonna be closer to his neighbor's house than his house.
Yeah.
I know, right.
Yeah, those houses are just like that.
Are those the property lines, the red?
I'm not sure what the,
What are
The
those?
reds are interior lot lines. Back when
Oh.
these were being divided into subdivisions, instead of selling off tracts of land that were this size, they would sell off 5 or 6 of them under the same name and call that a tax parcel.
Huh.
So now we're at the point where legally, if anybody wants to build a shed or expand, then they have to vacate the interior lot lines to make it officially one lot and then move on with their project.
okay.
It's my other
Hmm.
job.
Interesting,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, am I mistaken? Did you you made a
I
motion?
made a motion that has some niggling little amendments, multiple little.
Right.
We have 180-degree screening and evergreen and at least as tall as the tank, if not taller.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions, clarification? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, show it passes.
Huh.
We do not have any other pending business, so we will adjourn until our March 16th meeting.